Welcome back. Last time I talked about the most foundational concepts that are involved with piano technique. I'm glad many of you have expressed how much it has helped you, because if you're practicing piano and you're not using good technique, you're going to be limited and you're going to get to a point where your body is no longer working for you. So if you're learning piano, you're doing all this work, I want you to get the result, and applying the right technique can really help you to do that. And so today we're gonna go to the next part of technique. Before we do that, let's just review what we have covered in the last technique video, which is Piano Technique 101. I touched on posture a little bit, and in it I talked about the importance of sitting optimally so that you can move your arms and your fingers in three-dimensional, easy, effortless way. And so it's up and down. Obviously, we're gonna move sideways too, right? You want to be able to reach everywhere. And you also want to be able to put your hand in and out. Okay? You could be playing here or you could be playing here, depending on what you're doing. And you don't want to feel like this is too far, and you don't want to feel like this is so close that you're stuck there. So there is an optimal place of sitting. And usually when we sit on the bench, we usually sit on the the front half of the bench. The next thing I talked about is alignment and thinking about fingertip to your elbow as one unit and moving it together and not breaking, not collapsing any joints unnecessarily for a long time. And that means that we're gonna try to maintain a straightish, I say straightish, because it won't be perfectly straight, from your fingertip to elbow. And depending on which finger you use, you want to adjust your wrist and forearm to get behind that finger. And it really does depend on where you're on the keyboard as well. If I'm doing one here, it's different than one here, right? If I'm doing three here versus this, it's different. You see, I'm very angled when you compare it to the keyboard. You don't want to play like that. Some people think your fingers need to be in a straight line with the keys. It's really not true, okay? You want to be aligned with your body, not the keys. The next thing we talked about is quiet hand. I also use phrases like silent hand or neutral hand. I learned that phrase from Fred Karpov of Entrada Piano. And I just want to mention him in this video because even though I've learned technique from many different sources, I would say that he's the one who really helped me to organize my thoughts and be able to articulate it. And quiet hand is hand that doesn't carry unnecessary tension. It's the hand that rests. And it's just slightly curved because that's what happens when your hands are relaxing and your fingers are relaxed. And when we put that quiet hand just simply comfortably on the keys, you see that you're gonna touch your finger pads, which is just behind your fingertips. So we don't put fingertips like this. We put our finger pads like that, okay? So, just feel it. Just see how it feels with your hand to just try that out.
Hi, this is Kristina. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I would love for you to subscribe. And if you like my teaching, please check out my course, Simple and Beautiful Piano for Adult Beginners.
So that was basically what I covered last time. Now, building on that, we're still gonna use our 5-finger scales as material we use to talk about technique. And for more advanced players, I might go a little bit further on other technical exercises you can use. So if you don't know your 5-finger scales, if you don't know all of your major chords, you just have to learn it. watch my video on 5-finger scales, and there is a resource, a handout you can use to download, and just work on it. Just work on it. If you know this, it's gonna make your life a whole lot easier when you're learning to play the piano. As you're maintaining your quiet hand, what you want to think about is moving your fingers from your knuckles, not your finger joints. I want you to just try it. Move from your knuckles, and don't worry about like how your fingers are, just move, okay? And now from your finger joints. You should feel right away the tension building. It just is harder. And if you think about it, moving your knuckles, you could probably do this for a long time without getting tired. If you're moving from your finger joints, you can feel that you're gonna get tired. Okay, and then you see how the concept of quiet hand, really, you can see it in your hand. This is not quiet. There's just a lot of extra energy. When you move more like this, you more or less can maintain the silence of your hand so that you're just moving what you need to, right? You want to move efficiently, and that's what sports people do. You want to just have the movement that you need. You don't want to have all these extra movements because it takes away from what you're trying to achieve. And that really applies in piano playing too. So when you play your 5-finger scales, try not to do. Okay? I'm gonna shake my hand because I can already feel the tension. Okay? You see my shape of my hand is already different, right? And try to think about moving from your knuckles, supporting, and then you can see that I'm supporting the finger I'm playing with my wrist. And you see how, depending on the angle, some of my fingers are just like hanging out in the air. That's totally fine, and that's what should happen. Don't feel like you have to have all your fingers on the keys. I see my students do that. They set themselves up for the notes and they play. And that's okay because your focus is like trying to learn the notes, and you don't want to forget it, and just setting yourself up. But once you know that part really well, you want to apply that technique, healthy technique, into your playing. I'm playing B flat because that's like the one that people don't like. The least liked scale when people are doing their 5-finger scales. And then now I'm gonna talk about this concept that is so important. And if you can really understand this concept, you're gonna really set yourself up to play piano well. And that's this. Now our keys are parallel, right? Go C, D, E, F, G. It doesn't go C, D, E, F, G. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We're going like this, where our hands are not parallel, right? Our hands are not like this. We use the same type of technique when our hands are moving this way and fingers are moving this way. And when our hands are moving this way and fingers are moving this way, that's the same kind of technique. But then we do like so much of the scales that are like parallel motion, right? And that means we have to use different technique for the right hand and different technique for the left hand. So basically, when you're moving from your thumb to the 5th finger, or you can think of it as when you're going from the middle of the piano to the outer side of the keyboard, you are going to use flatter fingers, okay? Flatter fingers. You want to kind of see your nails, okay? And then when you go from your 5th finger to finger number 1, you want to see more of your knuckles, so it becomes rounder, okay? So Okay, let me demonstrate that again. I'm gonna do D. Show your nails and then show your knuckles. I'm gonna do my left hand. Okay. Now I'm gonna start with my 1 because I want to work on that same kind of technique. Okay, so I'm gonna reverse my 5-finger scales. So don't start from here. We're gonna start from here. Okay. Now I'm going this way from 1 to 5, away from the middle. So my left hand is going to be flatter. And then I'm going towards the middle. So my left hand is going to show more of my knuckles. Okay. Or you can think of it as when you're going away, you're going to draw a little smiley face with your wrist. Okay. And then when you're going towards the middle, you're going to draw a little rainbow with your knuckles. So this is how I like to have my students practice. I have my quiet hands. Okay. And I'm going to start with the same finger numbers. And what you see is you're actually drawing like 2 circles with your 5-finger scales. Okay, I'm going to do D. So one of the things that happens is when you get to 5, okay, we don't want to go 5 and collapse. We want to come back. We want to kind of stand taller on 5, so we can come back to it, draw that rainbow. You can even just feel this. This is something that can really help you with your playing. For example, if you're a more advanced player and you're working on your full scale, and most piano players just have more ability to do more intricate things with your right hand, even if you're a lefty. And that's because of the way music is built. Even if you're lefty, your left hand is still playing lower notes, right? So the way the music is composed is that the lower parts have certain type of accompaniments and bass notes that play. So our left hand just plays a lot of octaves or chords, less intricate things. So what happens is usually everybody just develops their right hand scales better, and they can play. And one of the things that we do when you're an advanced player is to do like 4 octaves of the scale. And when I was younger and practicing these scales, I always felt really, really insecure about my left hand because my left hand just didn't have the dexterity that my right hand had. When I applied what I'm showing you, I realized that, I've been using wrong technique my entire life. So with your left hand, when you're going up, you don't want to follow the right hand. Like you don't want to do this. Then you're not going to have that control that you're looking for when you're doing something like the scale. The left hand is going to be higher up, more round. Right hand is going to have more of the flatter hand. And then coming down, same thing. My left hand is going to have more of the flatter hand because it's going that way. And then the right hand should have more rounder shape with the knuckles being higher. I'll just stay here. You can also apply this into arpeggios. So when I'm doing the arpeggios, I want to have a flatter hand. When I'm going arpeggio this way down, I want to have more of a rounder hand. Okay, and same thing with my left hand. but I have to start more rounder first and flatter going down. Okay, and so to practice these kind of arpeggios and scales, I really recommend trying the contrary motion. Contrary motion is when your hands are going away from each other or going towards each other. You can create these exercises that you just stay on. Or you can be an octave away. Just working on these concepts we talked about. You can just also do with the chords. Major, minor. So in all of this, what we're working on is called finger interdependence, not finger independence. Even now, people talk a lot about finger independence, but finger independence can cause you injury, and finger independence can cause a lot of tension. And you learn about, in the olden days, people really working on like finger independence by doing exercises to make their like fingers go beyond what's natural. Pedagogues who specialize in technique that I subscribe to, they do not believe in finger independence anymore, and I don't believe it anymore. It's these concepts that I have talked about that promote healthy playing and finger interdependence and alignment and restfulness for your body to optimally play your pieces. And not only that, to create beautiful sounds. So keep practicing your scales. And this is why I keep talking about really knowing those scales really well. If you don't know your major 5-finger scale backwards, forwards, in the middle of your sleep, you gotta practice it. And you have to know all your major chords as a result of that. If you know all 12 5-finger scales, that just opens up your ability to work on so many things for your technique, for your theory, and also in your pieces, they apply as well, which I am going to talk about further down. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. So I don't think I have any problem coming up with YouTube topics. As useful as some of those, 5 things you can do. At the end of the day, if you don't apply it, it's just 5 things extra and your playing hasn't gotten any better. So I would like for you to take one thing from this video and try to apply it. And you don't have to spend a lot of time. Just sit and apply for 5 minutes, just becoming more aware of what you're doing at the piano when you play the piano. And that kind of awareness and intentionality can really impact your overall playing. So good luck, and I will see you again.